The boy who changed a kingdom's name. Let me tell you a story of a boy who managed to change the name of the most powerful kingdom in history from Narnia to dreams come true. How did this happen? Well, it started a few centuries ago. In the mighty kingdom of Narnia lived a boy who would later change the course of history only because he followed his heart. He wasn't born of royal blood, he was just a commoner. The boy was christened Oscar, which means divine strength. Oscar was a very unique child. He always loved to play. His quest for knowledge and the truth of life always set him apart. He was clever, smart, and determined, but on the flip side, he was stubborn and a bit hot-tempered. Oscar always enjoyed life. He loved challenges and always was ready to step up his game and ever ready to face anything that life had to throw at him. As years rolled on, little Oscar turned out to be a fine young man. He had everything, but just one thing eluded him: love. Love was only a temporary guest in his life. Being hurt in most cases, he would hit rock bottom, but never allowed himself to stay down forever. It so happened that one day, as our young protagonist was walking past the castle, he noticed the royal family. A big crowd had gathered there. There was a lot of shoving and pushing as the young people crowded to see the royal family. Going up to one of the bystanders, he inquired, "What's all this commotion about?" The man, his eyes trying to get a glimpse of the royal family, replied shortly, "Today is the birthday of the elder princess. Look, there she is. Doesn't she look amazing?" Well, Oscar had never seen her. Coincidentally, it was his birthday too. He decided to make his way up to the princess and wish her, or at least have a good glimpse of her. After a few minutes of being tossed left and right by the surging crowd, he managed to reach forward. The moment he laid his eyes on her, his heart stopped for a second and then raced like a horse, getting close to the finish line. He knew that he liked her instantly. Mastering all the courage he had, he made his way forward to wish the princess. But no sooner he was 10 steps near her, then he was thrown to the ground. The guards rebuked him. "Commoner, keep your distance." But fortunately for our young lad, the princess had observed this. She quickly went to the young lad on the ground and gave him a hand. Everyone was astonished. The king and queen couldn't stomach what had happened. Oscar felt the soft touch of her hand clasp his hand. He was enveloped with a feeling beyond description. As he got back on his 2 feet, he looked dreamingly at her, still holding on to her hand. He took a few seconds to come back to reality. Instead of wishing her, he nervously told her that it was his birthday too. The princess gracefully smiled at him and wished him a happy birthday. Later, back in the castle, the king and queen reprimanded the princess for associating affably with the commoner. But our Oscar, on the other hand, liked her even more. He found her different. He noticed a beautiful side. Oscar couldn't sleep that night. He kept thinking about Princess Maria. He couldn't forget the way she looked at him with kindness, her soft touch, and her breathtaking hair. With every passing day, he thought about her only more. He wondered how he could get in touch with her and win her heart. He suddenly remembered that one of his friends, Sarah, was working in the castle as the lady in waiting for the princess. The next day, without having his breakfast, Oscar dashed to Sarah's house before she could leave for the castle. He told her to hand over a note to the princess and not to disclose this to anyone. Sarah agreed and handed it to the princess. Princess Maria was quite thrilled to get the note. She eagerly opened it and began to read it. "Dear princess, I don't know if you will remember me, but I was the boy who shares a birthday with you. I am the boy you reached out a hand to. Forgive my impudence, but you look divine. I love your hair and, more importantly, your heart. Oscar." Sarah noticed a smile appear on the princess's face. But as soon as the princess noticed Sarah was looking at her, she maintained a poker face. She asked Sarah to get a paper and pen. The princess replied, "Dear Oscar, I definitely remember you. Thank you for your compliments. Please do not tell anyone of our association. Princess Maria." She handed the note to Sarah and told her not to reveal this to anyone. Sarah happily agreed. On receiving the note, Oscar was overjoyed to get a reply. He started sending her more messages, and he got back replies too. Oscar's parents saw a change in his behavior. They asked him what had happened to him all of a sudden. After much interrogation, Oscar revealed what he was up to. His parents were taken aback. Oscar's mom sat him down and told him, "Son, I don't want to dishearten you, but this can't happen. Her parents will never agree." Oscar, not being shaken, easily retorted, "Mom, I know, but I also know that miracles take place with love. All you need is love in your heart and patience, for patience is the key to people's heart." His mom sighed. The princess and Oscar would now send messages daily. She told him that she loved traveling and dancing. They became close. She knew Oscar liked her very much. She knew she would end up hurting him because she would have to obey her parents. So one day she decided to tell Oscar the truth. She wrote, "Dear sweetie, I know that you like me. You're a nice person. But my parents will never accept you, and I wouldn't want to be a disappointment to them. I know you come from a decent family, but my parents will only want a prince. You know how these things work, don't you? I think we should stop chatting. Maria." When the note reached Oscar's hand, his heart and dream were shattered. He did not know what to do. He really cared about her. He didn't want to disclose his love for her, for he felt that he'd be laughed at. So he respected what the princess wanted. He stopped sending her messages. He knew very well that the princess would have a line of boys waiting for her. Days passed. One fine Sunday, the royal family decided to throw a banquet to all their subjects. Sarah managed to get Oscar nearer to the royal family in the castle. Oscar saw the princess from a distance. She looked amazing in his eyes. He wanted to go near the princess but hesitated. The day passed. He let the opportunity to meet her slip through his hands. Kicking himself, he left the castle. He stayed up all night thinking whether he should message her or not. He finally wrote a message and sent it to her. She was pretty happy to receive it. She wrote back to him, but the letter that came back broke his heart. With tears rolling down his cheeks, Oscar read it. "Dear Bum, I had seen you too, sweetie. I don't give compliments, but here's one for you. You looked nice. I am sorry to tell you, but my parents have arranged me a prince whom I'll be marrying in a few days. Don't be disheartened. You'll find your true love. Maria." Oscar just went down on his knees and asked God what was his mistake. Why hadn't he been born in a royal family? Hadn't he been a good person? Oscar had everything. He knew that all the riches in the world couldn't buy him happiness. He had very few friends and a very close friend, but that was more than enough. He was pretty happy with his small world. He was looking for love, true love, someone who he could share it with. Days elapsed, and it was the wedding day of Princess Maria. The town criers began to announce the wedding bands. Oscar, though sad, didn't let this trouble him. Though sensitive, he had a strong will and stubborn mind. He didn't let any disappointment finish him. He was a phoenix. He would always rise from his ashes. The day of the wedding arrived. It was a grand occasion. He wondered whether the princess was truly happy, whether she would put her parents' happiness before hers in a society that just sees appearances and fleeting happiness. He thought to himself, if only he had a chance to prove himself. Life doesn't always work like in the fairy tales, and this our young lad knew only too well. Every day he worked on himself, trying to become the best version of himself. He would stumble, but didn't let that get in his way. The princess was happily married. At least this is how it appeared to the whole kingdom. The princess had every source of joy she could afford, but she lacked something. Something troubled her. She couldn't quite put her finger on it. She kept pondering, what could it be? Years passed. The princess had now become the queen of Narnia. The people loved her. She ruled with kindness and grace. She had lost her husband by then due to some sickness. One fine day, Queen Maria decided to remarry. This time it would be her choice. She wanted someone smart, intelligent and funny. She decided to have a competition for a hand in marriage. So she told the town criers to announce that there would be a story writing competition for a hand in marriage. The town criers did their jobs. They put posters of the competition everywhere. Many people gave it a shot, but there was one which stood out from the rest of the contenders. His story appealed instantly to the queen. She immediately connected with the story and his style of writing. Something clicked. Was it this that she was missing? She thought deeply. She quickly looked for the name, but all that she got was the scribbler. She ordered the guards to summon the writer of the story. The guards immediately searched and asked everyone for the man who writes under the name the scribbler. The people told them that he belonged to one of the most intellectual families in the kingdom. They immediately found him and brought him in. As the man, a widower, and a father of a daughter made his way into the palace, the chamber was filled with surging energy. She at once knew who it was just by feeling the energy and shouted, "Oscar!" And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's how the mighty kingdom of Narnia came to be known as Dreams Come True.